All across Europe, the idea of cuius regno eius religio was extremely popular. This concept dictated that whichever religion that the ruler was, his kingdom would have the same religion. This was popular after the Peace of Augsburg, which was a treaty that was designed to end religious wars in Europe. This acted as a binary system, and each country was either Roman Catholic or Protestant. Catholic nations included France, Spain, England, and the Holy Roman Empire, and Protestant nations were Denmark, Sweden, and Bohemia. However, Bohemia's religion was under dispute. The Holy Roman Empire and Bohemia were both ruled by the same king, King Matthias. Even though he was a Catholic and he did enforce his Catholicism on the Holy Roman Empire, he permitted the Bohemians to stay Protestant. However, he did not have a true heir, so when he died, the throne was passed on to his closest male relative, Archduke Ferdinand II of Austria. He was also Catholic and abolished the idea of religious tolerance in Bohemia, converting it to Catholicism. The Bohemians were not happy with this. When Ferdinand sent 2 Catholic messengers to Prague Castle, the capital of Bohemia, Bohemian Protestants stormed the tower and defenestrated both members. Defenestrate means to throw out a window, and that's exactly what they did. Both messengers fell 70 feet out of Prague Castle. Most Protestants said that their fall was broken by a palomar because they both survived. However, the Catholics claimed that an angel caught them and guided their safe fall. In rebellion of Ferdinand II, the Bohemians named their own king, Frederick V. Frederick V was originally from the Palatinate, otherwise known as Bavaria, a small region out next to the Holy Roman Empire. Because he was short on money and using his influence there, he borrowed an army to lay siege against the Holy Roman Empire. He met the imperial army at the Battle of White Mountain, but was severely defeated. The Holy Roman Empire used this opportunity to strike back against the Bohemians, moving into their territory. After conquering it all, they established a Catholic orthodoxy, almost completely quelling the rebellion in Bohemia. However, other Protestant nations viewed this and were inspired, such as Denmark and Sweden, which would eventually rise up against the Holy Roman Empire and the Catholic nations as well.
The Danish phase lasted from 1625 to 1629. Ferdinand II wanted to end this. He wants to destroy all Protestant resistance. To do this, he sends men north under the command of Albrecht von Wallenstein. Wallenstein was a military genius, but also a bit of a weird guy. He was obsessed with astrology, alchemy, and there were accusations that he was into Satanism and other such beliefs. Regardless, he marched north and led his men to a crushing victory. All resistance was demolished, and Wallenstein returned to Ferdinand victorious. You would expect that to be the end of the war. Hasn't Ferdinand II gotten all he wants? But no. In 1629, he issued the Edict of Restitution. The edict said 2 important things. The first is that all lands that had been taken from the Catholics must be returned. The second statement denied Protestants political rights. That is, all Protestants except for the Lutherans. He excluded the Lutherans from this because they held considerable power in the government. Again, you would expect Ferdinand II to be done and that all the chaos would be over. But wait, there's more. Ferdinand II began to hear rumors of resistance to his rule by German princes, who feared him due to his explosive success. Partially because of this, and partially because of the rumors surrounding him, Wallenstein is fired. This helps appease the princes because Wallenstein is a powerful weapon that can destroy any opposition. This must be the end of the war, but it isn't.
The Swedish phase was the third phase in the 30 Years' War, and it was a major turning point in the war, and this is why the Swedish phase is so important. It was the point at which the war had shifted from being just an ordinary Protestant war, since there were a lot during this time period, to being more of a political war. And the reason this turned over to being a political war was because, as you'll see, France, which is a Catholic state, funded a Protestant army to fight for them against other Catholic states. And so Cardinal Richelieu, although he was the cardinal, he was sort of directing France, because Louis XIII came into power when he was only 9 years old because his dad died, and so he looked to Cardinal for help for some of these matters. So Cardinal Richelieu, he knew that he was surrounded by the Spanish Habsburgs of Spain and the Habsburgs of the Holy Roman Empire, which was in present-day Germany, and so Richelieu decides to contact Sweden, and more importantly Gustavus Adolphus, who's commonly referred to as the father of modern warfare. So what he does is he gives money to Sweden to build an army, and that's where you get the saying Swedish swords, French funds. And during the Battle of Magdeburg, this is when the Holy Roman Empire troops come into this large Protestant city, and they come in and they kill all of these people in the town. They kill 20,000 people, women and children included, not just the people who were fighting against them. So they'd be killing average workers and people like that. And this was called the Sack of Magdeburg. So what Gustavus decides to do is he decides to attack Brightonfield. And since he had this mobile artillery, he had the upper hand in winning this battle. This is called the Battle of Brightonfield. And so Gustavus invades Brightonfield, and right now the Holy Roman Empire and the Spanish Habsburgs are thinking of Sweden as like this sort of invincible crusher that's defeating all of these Catholic states. And so what Ferdinand II of the Holy Roman Empire decides to do is bring back Wallenstein, which is this feared army leader. And so Wallenstein starts to set up a stronghold in Nuremberg, and it's called Alte West. And what happens is the Swedish troops come into Alt West, and they try to fight at the stronghold, which is controlled by Wallenstein. And when they do this, they do in fact lose, because Wallenstein had a better army, or he had a better defense, and so he defended really well against these troops. And so Sweden, which had seemed invincible at this point from all the previous battles, not just Brightonfield, they had won against the Habsburgs. But once they lost this battle at the stronghold of Alt West, it made them seem not so invincible anymore, and so they seemed weaker in the eyes of the Habsburgs. And the Battle of Lutzen it's a really remarkable battle. This is because the Swedish troops, they go into battle Lutzen, but Wallenstein has his army there, since it is a Catholic state, and so he defends once again. But not only that, during this battle, Gustavus had died, and so Sweden, which already had seemed weak, was now even weaker, since they had lost one of the greatest generals in warfare. Now with Gustavus defeated, the Holy Roman Empire decided Wallenstein wasn't really the best choice, since Wallenstein didn't really care about the Holy Roman Empire as much as he cared about winning wars, and if he had to fight against the Holy Roman Empire, if he was threatened, he would. So the Holy Roman Empire, Ferdinand II gives out the command to assassinate Wallenstein, which the people he said to do. And while this is happening, Sweden decides to give the army over to Axel Oxford-Stirna, and around this time as well, Ferdinand II's son, Archduke Ferdinand III, he gets control of the army. So during the Battle of Nordlingen, and this land was conquered by Sweden a couple of years earlier, and so Archduke decides that he's going to go and he's going to take back this land, and so he does just that. He goes back and he leads a massive defeat, and Sweden is no longer as strong as it had seemed to be before. And with the Holy Roman Empire's army looking stronger, France decides that it's their turn to step in, and that's when the French phase takes over.
The French phase was the last 13 years of the war and the most destructive part. During this period, France and Sweden switched roles. Before, the French armies did not directly fight in the war and paid bills. The death of Adolphus caused France to directly fight in the war because without France, Ferdinand will be able to centralize power. At this point, the war is about politics and not religion, since it is two Catholic monarchs facing off. The soldiers who fought in this period were savages. These men will fight anyone that will pay Sherman, giving the soldiers a chance to steal things. Since the soldiers do not receive enough supplies, they destroy German towns and farms. As a result of this, it causes a famine. During the course of the 30 Years' War, about 1 million Germans die, which of course is a third of the population. The war caused inflation and it destroyed trade throughout Europe. As you can see in the map, some of the populations have over 50% of the population wiped out. France does not really care about this because all of the destruction is in Germany. This destruction weakens the Habsburgs.
The war finally ended with the Peace of Westphalia. The Peace of Westphalia was a series of treaties that ended the Protestant Reformation. Its main points were the breaking up of the Habsburgs and the Holy Roman Empire and creating new independent nations, and also the freedom of private religion, allowing anyone to secretly worship whatever religion they would choose legally. This officially ended the 30 Years' War. However, no one was really happy because the Catholics wanted all of Europe to be Catholic and the Protestants wanted all Protestant as well. This would eventually lead to more religious disputes in the future.